Now, if you don't mind a few words in English, I want to thank everyone here. First of all, Bernard Genereux, the local member of Parliament. It's great to be in Montmagny today at Maison La Prise. This is for two very important reasons that we've chosen this location. Maison La Prise builds homes, which was one of my top priorities. We've got to build the homes in order to house our people. We have to put an end to the Liberal housing hell of the last decades. And there's only one way to do it. It's for the government to get out of the way and off the backs of the people behind me who build these homes. These fine folks are working every day to bring affordable homes. These are module pieces that snap together. They're kind of like Lego blocks, I think. No? Okay. They are? So they're like Lego blocks so that we can actually assemble the houses much more affordably and make it possible to get people a roof over their head. I've already announced some of my plan to reverse Liberal housing hell. We're going to take the GST off new homes, axe the sales tax on homes of less than $1.3 million, saving people up to $65,000. An idea that I brought to the House of Commons, but sadly the Liberals unanimously voted against. This will stimulate the construction of an additional 36,000 new homes above and beyond what would normally be built, and it will save families $3,000 a year on their mortgages. The second reason why I'm here today is because Maison La Prise has many workers who are over 65 that bring lots of wisdom and insight to the younger workers. Quebec has always been a province where people roll up their sleeves and work hard. They protect their culture, their language, and their history, something we need to do more of across the country. But the industries across Quebec have suffered under the lost Liberal decade of high taxes, burdensome government and bureaucracy and red tape. As a result, after the last 10 years of the Liberals, housing costs have doubled, food prices have inflated. We have 2 million people lined up at food banks. There's more crime, our borders are in trouble, and our country is in an unprecedented state of economic weakness facing the Americans. It's very simple. After the lost Liberal decade of costs and crime up, of our economy down under America's thumb, do the Liberals deserve a fourth term in power, or is it time to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, and help our seniors have a beautiful retirement? I know the answer to that question, and I think Mr. Carney does too. That's why he was afraid to debate me at TVA. He can't debate in French because he's too weak or too fragile to defend the idea of a fourth Liberal term in power. If he's too weak to defend himself in a debate, how will he defend himself against Donald Trump? We need a strong leader who's capable of standing up to Trump and standing up for Canadians. Now, we also know that Mark Carney has been hiding his assets in foreign tax havens. Just today, we learned that his company, under his watch, put money in Bermuda to avoid paying Canadian taxes. All while Liberals force Canadians to pay higher taxes, Mark Carney dodges the bill himself. He thinks millionaires like him shouldn't have to pay, even while single moms, seniors, and small businesses are forced to fork over ever more money to this out-of-control, greedy Liberal government. Mark Carney is out of touch. In his mind, taxes are for the little people, not the millionaires and billionaires like him. Carney needs to come clean about his offshore dealings and how much of his assets are still hidden in tax havens. You know, Canadians deserve to know what financial interests a Prime Minister has. Here's the problem with Mark Carney. He's outsourced jobs, he's offshored his taxes, he's the most conflicted and compromised Prime Minister in our country's history. I'm running for Prime Minister because I want to put Canada first. But you can't do that when all your interests are locked up in foreign interests. For example, how would he ever crack down on tax evasion, on offshore tax havens, when he's got his money wrapped up in those same havens? How would he ever crack down on the abuses by China of our steel industry, when his company owes $250 million to the Chinese government's state-owned banks? How would he ever protect Canada against the U.S. when he's already moved his company headquarters to Donald Trump's hometown and the jobs and money with it? The answer is he can't. Now, this distraction he has about blind trust, let's be blunt. Mr. Carney knows exactly what assets he owns. He put them in the trust knowing what they were, and he knows that his trustee cannot sell those assets. So whether or not it's technically in this Venetian blind trust, he knows what he owns. The only ones who are blind are Canadians. Canadians are the ones who are blocked from knowing the real financial interests of their Prime Minister. And that's why I reiterate my call for Mark Carney to come before Canadians, open up the books, tell Canadians what foreign conflicts of interest he has that go against the interests of Canada. I'm running for Prime Minister to restore Canada's promise so that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful house on a safe street protected by solid borders and brave troops under a proud flag, and where a lifetime of hard work pays off with a beautiful and solid retirement. But let me paint a picture. Imagine you've been working for 40 years and you've done all the things right, but you still want to contribute. You've got a lot of wisdom, smarts, and energy. You see a lot of young people that could use some mentoring at a local business. There's a labor shortage in your community, so local businesses looking around for employees. So you're not ready to hang up the skates. So you go in, you get a job, and the first paycheck you get, you realize it's all chewed up by government clawbacks and taxes. OAS is clawed back, GIS is clawed back, and then there's income tax, payroll tax, and many other taxes. This means that sometimes you could be worse off for the next dollar you earn. If you go from a $25,000 a year income to $35,000, more than half of that extra money will be chewed up by government clawbacks. On top of that, the government forces you to pull out your RRSPs at age 71, even if you want to grow them a little longer. And then immediately those are taxed as well. So there you are, punished for saving responsibly, punished for working hard. Now, first of all, it should be clear that no senior should ever be forced to work. But those who choose should not be punished. After the lost Liberal decade, Canadian seniors can't afford a fourth Liberal term of making Canadians poor and Canada weaker. They need a new Conservative government that will lower taxes, support seniors, and put Canada first for a change. That's why, as Prime Minister, I will work hard for the people who work hard. And I will see to it the system rewards hard work by people of all ages. Right now, seniors get a basic personal exemption of about $15,000. On top of that, they get about a $9,000 age credit. But that's where it ends. That's not enough. And that's why today I'm announcing that a new Conservative government will put Canada first by allowing our seniors to earn up to $34,000 tax-free. Thank you. This will save a working senior up to $1,300. Income above $34,000 will also be taxed at a 15% lower rate, because earlier this week that I've announced that I would cut income taxes by that amount. So you'll earn 15% less income tax on the income that is taxable, and you'll have $34,000 tax-free. This will mean for a working couple that happens to be of retirement age, they will literally save thousands of dollars they can spend on a nice summer vacation, or maybe spoil the grandkids just a little bit more, ensure they can pay off their what might be left of their mortgage, or have some extra money to eat some better food and enjoy some more activities with friends and neighbors. Seniors deserve security, and that's why I'm also confirming that Conservatives will keep the retirement age at 65. CPP will be age 65, OAS 65, GIS 65, so that Canadians will know they'll have that income coming in and they'll have a reliable, solid retirement and a solid floor under their feet. But they also deserve the freedom to decide how they save and if they work. Right now, Canadians who save tax-free in their RSP are forced to take it out by 71. As I said, this forces them to pay taxes earlier than they might like and shortens the time they might grow their nest egg. That's why I'm also announcing that Conservatives will put Canadian seniors first by allowing them the option to keep their RRSP invested and growing until up to age 73. This will allow more growth tax-free so that there's a bigger nest egg for the future. That means more control, more flexibility, more financial security. These savings, along with my major income tax cut, will mean seniors will bring home more of their pensions and paycheck. Unlike the Liberals, a new Conservative government won't tax away decades of hard work. You know, I was just speaking to Natalie and Denis, both of whom said that they would love the ability to work well past 65, but they see how that will chew up their benefits from the government, and they know that taxes will eat up the money that they have come off their paycheck. That's where the lost Liberal decade has left them. I want people like Natalie and Denis to have the choice and the freedom to contribute. With labor shortages and a weak economy, we need our smartest, wisest people who choose to contribute, to offer all they can, and we need to reward them when they do. And we were going to do that by making our economy stronger. It's time to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government that will lower taxes, protect senior savings, build a Canada where decades of hard work deliver a great retirement, a Canada that axes taxes, builds homes, unleashes the economy, stops crime, and brings home jobs to stand up to President Trump from a position of strength. As Prime Minister, I will reward hard work and restore the Canadian promise. And that promise is very simple. Anyone from anywhere can do anything. Hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful house, on a safe street, protected by brave troops under our proud flag. That includes for our wonderful seniors, for them more than anyone who built this country. Let's put Canada first for a change and bring it home. Thank you.
Merci. On va maintenant passer aux questions.
Thank you.
Bonjour, M. Poilievre, Christian Noël.
Bonjour.
Au Canada.
Ça va bien?
Ça va très bien, vous?
Excellent. Un peu soif, mais...
Je vous laisse prendre une gorgée, OK?
Peut-être j'ai trop parlé, hein?
Bien, 30 minutes, c'est long. J'espère que vous allez prendre 30 minutes de questions.
Peut-être 30 minutes de réponse.
30 minutes de réponse. Je vous laisse prendre votre verre d'eau, puis on se reparle après.
Vas-y.
M. Carney, ce matin, a défendu l'utilisation des paradis fiscaux, pas par lui, mais par Brookfield, qui, dit-il, remet de l'argent dans les fonds de pension, qui donc remet de l'argent dans les poches des travailleurs. Ça, c'est ce qu'il a dit. Moi, j'aimerais vous demander, vous, avez-vous des investissements ou des actifs dans les paradis fiscaux? Et deuxièmement, qu'allez-vous faire quand vous serez premier ministre pour limiter l'évasion et l'évitement fiscal concrètement?
Merci beaucoup. Il y a trois aspects de votre question. Premièrement, c'est ridicule ce que M. Carney suggère. Si l'argent des paradis fiscaux reviendra au Canada, ça va être imposé au Canada et il n'y a aucune raison de situer l'investissement aux Bermudes au premier lieu. Alors, ça ne fait pas de sens. Il a mis ses actifs coopératifs aux Bermudes pour être à l'abri des taxes et les impôts canadiens que le gouvernement libéral, avec ses conseils, impose sur les travailleurs et les aînés canadiens. C'est ça la réalité. Et en plus, c'est une énorme hypocrisie. Comme conseiller économique à Justin Trudeau, il a favorisé des grosses augmentations de taxes et d'impôts sur les Canadiens, les augmentations qu'il ne voulait pas lui-même payer. Et c'est pour ça qu'il a caché ses actifs dans un paradis fiscal et il est toujours investi à Brookfield. Où est-ce qu'il a nié ça? Est-ce qu'il a nié ça aujourd'hui? Mais je veux juste savoir, est-ce qu'il nie qu'il est toujours investi à Brookfield? Ou est-ce que vous savez? Mais vous êtes un homme très informé. Je penserais que le premier ministre, s'il a un investissement dans un conflit d'intérêts comme ça, qu'un journaliste informé, cultivé comme vous, serait informé. Oui. Oui, vas-y. Oui, donnez le micro.
Vous me posez la question à moi, ce que Mark Carney a fait avec ses actifs.
Oui.
OK?
Oui.
Mais ma question à vous...
Oui, mais je vais répondre à votre question. Je vais répondre. Mais est-ce que vous savez où ces actifs sont investis?
Ça me semble être une question rhétorique. Je vous laisse répondre.
Non, c'est pas une question rhétorique. C'est juste un fait. Je trouve ça bizarre qu'on n'ait pas au courant. Même des journalistes qui sont très informés sont privés de cette information. C'est pas vous qui êtes à faute. C'est M. Carney qui vous prive cette information nécessaire pour faire votre travail. Je peux dire que j'ai pas d'investissement dans des paradis fiscaux. Après les menaces de Donald Trump, j'ai décidé de vendre les très peu d'investissements que j'avais ailleurs et de mettre dans les économies étrangères et de le mettre dans des investissements dans des actions et des entreprises canadiennes, comme mes documents vont montrer quand ils sont publiés par le commissaire à l'éthique. Et j'ai pas de peur que les gens sachent ce que j'ai dans mon portefeuille. Je le cache pas. C'est publié sur le site web. Donc, quiconque peut y aller, le regarder. Donc, je propose que M. Carney fait exactement ce que j'ai fait, c'est-à-dire partager avec les Canadiens les investissements qu'il a pour que les Canadiens puissent savoir les conflits d'intérêts qu'il a dans son portefeuille. Donc, finalement, la question que vous avez posée, c'est est-ce que je vais m'attaquer aux paradis fiscaux? Oui, je vais le faire. Nous allons avoir des mesures dans notre plateforme électorale pour mettre fin à cette approche de Carney et d'autres de mettre leurs actifs dans les paradis fiscaux pour éviter de payer leur juste part ici au Canada. Parce que si le plombier, le mécanicien ou les travailleurs ici payent leurs taxes et leurs impôts au Canada, Mark Carney et les milliardaires devraient payer leurs taxes ici aussi. Merci.
S'il vous plaît.
Merci. Merci. Thank you very much. So I was asking the gentleman, who's a very informed journalist, whether he knows what Mark Carney's investments are. And he said, no, that's not his fault. That's Mr. Carney's fault. I just point out that it's incredible that even the journalists who follow this stuff very carefully do not know all the conflicts that Mr. Carney admits that he has. Now, he claims that somehow this money gets funneled through a Bermuda tax haven only to come back to Canada. Well, why wouldn't he just leave it in Canada in the first place? If it were going to be taxed in Canada, he wouldn't need to funnel it through Bermuda. I don't know, how many of you funnel your investments through Bermuda before you bring them back to pay taxes? I think the answer is zero. You know, and so Mr. Carney makes these workers who are struggling to pay their bills pay full taxes in Canada while he ships his investments off to Bermuda to dodge his obligations to this country. That's money that should be going in tax revenue to fund our schools and our hospitals, but instead it's going to pad the pockets of millionaires and billionaires like him. He thinks that taxes are just for the little people, not for big shot bankers like him. This is exactly the wrong kind of experience we need in a prime minister and the worst kinds of conflicts of interest he will use. He says, by the way, he says he knows how the world works. He thinks he knows better than all these hardworking people behind me. I can tell you they know a lot of things that he has no idea about. I'd like to see them. I'd like him to come in here for a day and try to do their jobs. He wouldn't make it through 1 hour. Oui, I will say it. And for merci beaucoup. He says he knows how the world works. He knows how to make it work for him and against you. And that is exactly what he will do as Prime Minister. The answer to the other question was whether I have investments in tax havens. The answer is no. After President Trump began threatening our economy, I sold my investments in foreign economies and now invest in Canadian stocks and Canadian companies. I brought my money home to this country, and we will, in our platform, be cracking down on the types of tax havens that Mark Carney has used to cheat the system. We will ensure that the fancy big bankers pay their fair share If waitresses and plumbers and mechanics have to pay taxes in Canada, then the big shot bankers should have to pay taxes here as well, and that is how it's going to work when I'm Prime Minister. Oui.
Merci.
C'est quoi ça?
Merci. On va passer à la prochaine question.
Abigail Beeman, CTV News. Throughout your career, you've repeatedly said that CPP benefits were too generous, that premiums were too high. Your announcement today sounds like you're supporting the status quo, so I'd like to ask what's changed. And as well, we're just hearing that President Trump is expected to announce auto tariffs at 4 o'clock today, so I'd like to get your response to that.
Thank you. We will protect CPP, OAS, and GIS for age 65. The retirement age will remain 65. You will get all your CPP, all your GIS, all your OAS at age 65 under a new Conservative government. As for President Trump, my message to him again is knock it off. These tariffs are simply causing chaos in markets. They're dislocating workers on both sides of the border. Stop threatening Canada with tariffs. Stop talking about our sovereignty. Our two countries have been two wonderful friends over centuries. It is better to build on that Canada-U.S. friendship as two separate and sovereign countries. And if the president does hit us with more tariffs, we will retaliate. But more than that, we have to reverse the weakness that the Liberals have caused in our economy. Through hiking taxes on work, investment, home building, and energy, and blocking our resource projects, they have driven $500 billion out of our economy, all while Mark Carney was the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. After a lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime, a falling economy under America's thumb, the Liberals do not deserve a fourth term. We need a new Conservative government that will put Canada first by axing taxes, approving resource projects, bringing home our jobs, and standing up to President Trump from a position of strength.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Merci beaucoup. Comme j'ai dit déjà, on va garder l'âge de la retraite à 65 ans pour tous les programmes, toutes les prestations vont arriver à l'âge de 65 ans. Point final. En ce qui concerne les menaces de Donald Trump, mon message pour lui, c'est d'arrêter. Arrêter des tarifs qui causent de chaos dans les marchés, qui empêchent les emplois des deux côtés de nos frontières. Si le président Trump fait davantage de tarifs, on va devoir repliquer, mais on doit aussi renforcer notre économie, créer une forteresse économique. Après 10 ans des libéraux, ils ont rendu notre économie affaiblie face aux Américains. Ils ont bloqué nos ressources naturelles, augmenté les taxes et les impôts, ajouté 100 000 fonctionnaires et causé la pire inflation depuis 40 ans. Pour relancer notre économie et reprendre le contrôle, il faut couper les taxes, les impôts et la bureaucratie, exploiter nos ressources naturelles, renforcer notre frontière et ramener nos emplois ici au Canada pour faire face à Donald Trump dans une position de force. C'est ça l'approche qu'on va prendre.
Merci. On passe à la prochaine question.
En passant, Marion, si je peux me permettre de mentionner, je vais aussi renverser le décret forestier que Stephen Guilbeault veut imposer sur le secteur de bois ici au Canada en même temps que Donald Trump met des tarifs douaniers sur notre bois d'œuvre. M. Guilbeault veut mettre un décret qui va bannir la production de beaucoup de bois dans les régions du Québec. Et c'est le bois ici qui bâtit les maisons. On a besoin du bois québécois pour bâtir des maisons québécois et canadiens. Je vais enlever le décret. Merci.
On va passer à la prochaine question.
Monsieur Poilievre, dans l'Est du Québec, pour nos PME, pour nos entreprises, les travailleurs étrangers sont essentiels. Comment vous allez faire pour aider nos entreprises avec leur main-d'œuvre étrangère?
Aider les entreprises avec des...
avec leur main-d'œuvre étrangère
Oui.
qui est capitale là, pour les entreprises. Sinon, c'est la clé dans la porte pour eux.
C'est une très bonne question. Une très, très bonne question. Tout d'abord, je veux juste réitérer le fait que l'un des aspects qu'on devrait encourager, c'est les personnes âgées qui veulent, qui choisissent de travailler encore, devraient être récompensées. Maintenant, les gens qui veulent travailler, qui sont plus de 65 ans, sont punis avec les taxes et les récupérations gouvernementales. Donc, aider à permettre ces gens-là de faire la contribution qu'ils veulent faire en gagnant plus d'argent, c'est une bonne idée. Mais en plus, les travailleurs étrangers sont nécessaires. Les travailleurs étrangers sont nécessaires dans certaines régions. Pour les PME et également des fermiers. Et donc, après la décennie perdue libérale, il y a du chaos dans notre système d'immigration. Il y a un système qui a permis la fraude dans les étudiants internationaux et les abus des travailleurs étrangers au détriment des travailleurs ici au Québec et à travers le Canada. Moi, je vais travailler avec le gouvernement du Québec pour permettre des travailleurs étrangers d'être utilisés dans des situations ciblées, là où les taux de chômage sont très bas, surtout dans les régions du Québec, pour des fermiers et des PME, mais jamais pour déplacer des travailleurs québécois. Quand j'étais ministre responsable pour l'emploi, on avait une règle. On ne va jamais déplacer un Canadien avec un travailleur étranger, parce que les Canadiens doivent venir d'abord. Donc, on va travailler pour réparer le chaos qu'ont causé des libéraux après 10 ans avec de l'ordre et de compétences pour supporter nos PME et nos fermiers avec des travailleurs, mais en même temps favoriser tout le temps les travailleurs canadiens en premier. J'ajouterais que le Parti conservateur est 100% contre l'initiative libérale du siècle. Une idée radicale que proposent les libéraux d'augmenter notre population à 100 millions de personnes. Ça va détruire le Québec, ça va causer le chaos et des énormes pénuries de logements, d'emplois et de santé. M. Carney a engagé Mark Wiseman pour être son conseiller en matière d'échange avec les Américains. Il a insulté les Québécois. Il a dit qu'il allait imposer l'initiative libérale du siècle, même si les Québécois, comme il a dit, crient. C'est une insulte. M. Carney doit dénoncer M. Wiseman et le congédier de son conseil. Assez, c'est assez. Pas d'initiative libérale du siècle. In English, you ask a very good question about the issue of temporary foreign workers. I think first and foremost, we need to make sure Canadians get the jobs. Canadians first, always Canadians first. And that includes those seniors who choose to work. They should not be punished. They should get that $34,000 tax-free plus lower income tax above that so that we can honor those seniors who have more to contribute. In rare circumstances where there are not enough Canadians to fill jobs, we should allow temporary foreign workers. That is for farming and for small businesses in the tight labor markets of the regions of Canada. And we will work to end the chaos. After the lost Liberal decade, our immigration system is in total chaos. Fraud has overtaken the temporary foreign worker and the international student program. They allowed temporary foreign workers into places where there's already high unemployment of over 6%. This chaos is playing out in our housing market, our job market, and our healthcare system. And I will end that chaos. Allowing the Liberals to have a fourth term in power will only make it worse. We need a new Conservative government that will put Canada and Canadians first. That includes opposing the Liberal Century Initiative, which seeks to increase our population to 100 million people. This is an idea from Mark Wiseman. Mark Wiseman is now Mark Carney's advisor on Canada-U.S. relations. He insulted Quebecers. He said he was going to push his 100 million person plan even if, quote, Quebec howls. That is a disgusting insult. It's a slur against Quebecers. And he should be ashamed of himself. And Mark Carney, if he respected Quebecers at all, would fire Mark Wiseman and reject the Liberal Century Initiative. Conservatives will reject the Liberal Century Initiative. We will get back to common sense immigration that puts Canadians first. Thank you.
Merci. On va passer à la dernière question.
Oui, bonjour, Cathy Desjardins pour Loi Blanche, ici à Montmagny. Donc, vous êtes dans la région de Côte-du-Sud, Rivière-du-Loup, Témiscouata, Katascomique, ça vient de changer de nom. Donc, c'est une région pour laquelle l'agriculture est quelque chose d'assez important. On a beaucoup d'agriculteurs ici dans la région. À quel point est-ce que pour un gouvernement conservateur, la gestion de l'offre, ce serait quelque chose d'important à défendre? Et s'il devait y avoir une renégociation, s'il y avait des pertes d'emplois, des pertes pour les agriculteurs, est-ce que votre gouvernement serait prêt à aller jusqu'à les compenser?
On va défendre nos agriculteurs dans tous les secteurs en fait, y compris les secteurs de gestion de l'offre. Quand les conservateurs étaient au pouvoir la dernière fois, on a eu l'occasion de signer des ententes de libre-échange avec des douzaines de pays à travers le monde sans jamais laisser tomber le système de gestion de l'offre. Je vais agir de la même façon quand je serai Premier ministre si les Canadiens me choisissent pour ça. Je vais défendre les fermiers dans la gestion de l'offre et protéger les régions du Québec. M. Carney a M. Mark Wiseman comme son négociateur et conseiller en matière de l'échange commercial avec les États-Unis. M. Wiseman a dit vouloir détruire le système de gestion de l'offre. Donc, on sait très bien le plan de M. Carney, et c'est de sacrifier nos fermiers dans les négociations. Nous, les conservateurs, vont mettre des fermiers canadiens d'abord pour faire changement. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Ça conclut la conférence de presse.
Merci beaucoup. Merci.